thank y'all for coming today. We don't want that background. Hold on. Okay. Just a couple of housekeeping things before we start. One, I've placed y'all in the back of the room, not because I'm trying to be as far away from you as possible, but because you are going to need your laptops, and both of those tables are strategically placed next to a plug. So if you need to plug your laptop in, you can do that. I have left a handout at each table. The handout goes over just kind of a brief overview of what we're doing in here. And then I've also left some water bottles, chocolates and mints. Those are for you to eat and drink as you need to hopefully make this as painless as possible. So I do appreciate you coming after school to listen to a PL for strategies to improve reading comprehension. So just to kind of jump in, I'm going to give you a little bit of background of how we decided to pick the topic that we're going to cover today, the data that we looked at, some prior meetings that we had, just to kind of give you a little background before we jump in. So I looked at 3 different pieces of data. I looked at STAR reading. I looked at iReady diagnostic for those students that are in my class. I was able to have their iReady diagnostic data. And then I was lucky enough, I'm going to turn this other light on real fast for y'all. We'll see if it makes the board awful, but it feels really dark. Whew. Okay. All right. And if that plays off the board too much, I'll turn it back off and now just go darker. So initially I had a needs assessment meeting with Tiffany. And at that meeting, we looked at STAR reading and iReady diagnostic, and I went over that data with her. My professor talked about how great it was if you could have a triangulation of data. And at the time I didn't have that, but now they have taken the spring benchmark. And so I asked for those data pieces too to look at, just to kind of verify, am I on the right page? Are we heading in the right direction? So we looked at those 3 pieces. Again, STAR data was pulled from students. Of course, you know we have the different colors for STAR, green, blue, yellow, red. Okay, I looked at the students that were performing in the red. Okay, so they were not proficient, but they did not have an IEP. So they were not proficient, and we had not identified a reason that they were not proficient. So those were my target students. We have a total of about 30 in 6th grade who were in the red, performing in the red on STAR, but had not been identified as needing any kind of accommodations for reading. From that, I looked at their December iReady diagnostic data, and again, their January, really it was end of January, beginning of February, benchmark data. And I had 19 students that were available. Of those 30, 19 I was able to get diagnostics for and ELA benchmarks for. So what I saw was overall, all of those pieces of data were showing that we actually have a strength in the area of informational comprehension. They are really good at finding the information that is right there. Scientific texts, nonfiction texts, with very specific questions within those texts, but they're pretty good when it comes to comprehension informational. STAR showed that, their diagnostic showed that, and then a lot of the Beacon benchmark showed that as well. But what came up over and over in their data was that we had a weakness in comprehension when it was literature-based. Specifically for these kids, we had a lot inferring. They've had a lot of trouble inferring. They had a lot of trouble figuring out why a character might do something, or how does the plot, how does the setting affect the plot of the story? Those kind of questions they were really struggling with. They were also struggling with vocabulary. And of course, if you are struggling with vocabulary, and you don't understand a word that's in that sentence, you're probably not going to understand what that sentence means. So again, our areas of strength were comprehension informational, and our areas of weakness were comprehension for literature and vocab. So I sat down, showed the data to Tiffany, we talked about it, and we ended up deciding that we were going to focus on comprehension specifically with that informational, and try to come up with at least 3 strategies to help improve our comprehension in that way. So that is what today's PL is based on. I have shared this presentation with you all. This is a PowerPoint. I also have a Google Slide version. I gave you all Google Slides just because everything we have here at school is Google and everything just kind of meshes easier. So I shared the slides with you. Everything's the same except, they don't have the animation. So specifically, we're going to look at 3 literacy strategies. The first one we're going to talk about is the QAR, which is the question-answer relationship strategy. Then we're going to look at close reading. Okay, and specifically, we're going to look at some strategies we can use when you're implementing close reading in your classroom. And then finally, we're going to look at conversations. How can our conversations in the classroom lead to greater comprehension? How can we have meaningful, instructional conversations in our classrooms? Okay, so we're going to start first with the question-answer relationship strategy. So what is QAR? The question-answer relationship, QAR, helps students understand the different types of questions they may receive after reading a passage. This is what's really important for our kids. If they can start to identify the type of question that they're being asked, then they can start to know how to find the answer in the text. So there's 4 types. Number 1, this is it's their jam. They are good at it. It is the right there questions. They are literal questions. Often words in the question can be found in the text. You can just even match the question to that same exact wording in the question you're going to find in the text. So they need to know that's a right there question. It is right there for me to see. The next step is called think and search. Okay? And this is on that handout that I gave you too. So think and search. Answers are found in the text, but it often requires looking in more than one part of the text. Okay? So it might be 2 paragraphs. And somewhere within those 2 paragraphs, you're going to find that. The third one is author and you. Okay, the answers are not in the text, but the student must have read the text and then be able to relate it to their own experience to answer that. So you cannot answer it without the text. You have to have read the text, but the answer is not necessarily in the text. Okay, so it's author and you working together. And the 4th type is on your own. The answers do not rely on the text, but they rely on your student's background, their prior knowledge. Okay? So, this also, I've shared this with you. Okay? It's just an anchor chart that you can Google and find, but I found it for you. There's a small version of that on your handout you'll see here too. This goes into a little more details. I think it would be great to have in your classroom, or if you do interactive notebooks that they could cut out and put in their notebook, just because it helps them see actually the kinds of questions that would ask. So again, right there, the answer's right there. They can search, the answer's in there, but you have to search. Author and me uses a combination of your knowledge and on my own. And the important thing about this that I want y'all to see in your handout is it gives you examples of the types of questions. So for right there, it might be who, what, when, where, how questions. Okay? Think and search. Summarize. What caused? Compare and contrast. Give 2 examples. Okay? Think and search type questions. Author and me. What would be another title? Predict what will happen next. What was the main idea? Okay? You have to have read it, but then in order to answer it, you have to use your brain. Okay? It's not just right there for you to copy. And then finally, on my own, they call it connect. Okay? Have you ever? How would you feel if? Okay? So sometimes they can answer those questions again and have never read the text. It's about their own experience. Okay? On my own. So the QAR strategy is one that can be very effective if we give them opportunities to look at questions, to talk, to debate, to move around, to try to figure out What type of question is this? So, a technology option for this, I don't know if you've ever heard of MindMeister before, but MindMeister is a collaborative mind mapping program that allows students to brainstorm and organize their knowledge. So you could make this right here, and it could be ready. They could do this individually. They could do it as a table group. You know, you can differentiate. You can partner up, high, low, however you want to do it. But you're going to have your topics here, right there, think and search, author and me on my own. And then you'll notice it says question, okay? This is where, and I can pull it up. When I link, it pulls up on the computer. I have to go grab it. But I want you to see it in action. They would come and they would write the question. Type in the question that they think is a right there question, okay? How did they know that? So that's where they're going to go, oh, well, it said when did. It had one of those when words, right? And then they're going to give the answer. That's a think and search. Here's the question. How do we know it was a think and search? Well, it wanted me to give 2 examples. That means it had to come from the text, but I had to look around to find it. What's the answer to the question that you wrote there? So again, MindMeister, let me pull it up over here, sorry. Our internet has been so crazy today. I know y'all know that. Okay, so let's see. Sorry, it must have logged me totally out. Okay, here we go. So you'll see that we have that when they click this, okay, so now they can put the word there. So they can put the question. Like, how old was Charlie when his dog died? Okay? Sorry, I don't know. Oh, I went dark there for me. Okay, so they would type in the question. That's a right there question. I can go back in my story. I can find the answer. Okay? They're going to tell, how did you know? So they're going to come type there. Okay? And then they're going to type the answer. This is really cool because multiple kids can be working on it at one time. They can be working on it and not even be at the same table. Okay? They can simply all be typing from their own area. So it can really be a collaborative project that's pretty quiet if you need it to be. So again, this is called MindMeister. I shared that link with y'all if you want to kind of play with that. We're going to play with some other technology more in depth later. But this is another, just an example of a map that I used when I was doing elementary school, and the kids would work on, and we did kind of whole group. What do we know about bats? What do we want to know? Okay. So there's all kinds of different maps. You'll notice that there's different formats, there's different fonts, there's just a lot that you can play with on here. So that is called MindMeister. Let's get this back up now. Okay, let's see. To help them, again, start to identify, what is this question asking me? I really feel like if they get to the point where they can start to know what the question is asking of them, then they have a much better chance of coming up with the answer. So QAR strategies. All right, our second literacy strategy is close reading strategies. So close reading is something I think we've all heard of, right? It's Common Core standard. It's a thing we do, we annotate, we close read, okay? We're trying to figure out what is the text saying and how is the author saying it? And why is it important that I know how the author is saying it? So there's a couple different strategies within close reading that we're going to look at. The first one is called a double entry journal. Okay? The left side of their journal is for making notes on things from the text, okay? Things that stood out to them, things they wonder about, vocabulary, imagery, anything like that. As they're reading notes, you can give them specific things you want them to look for, or it can just be notes on the text. The right side is for thoughts that they have while they're reading. Okay, so that's why it's called a double-sided. So one side is what they see in the text. The right side is the thoughts that they're having. Can be about that, can be about something else. And then we're going to look at sentence comprehension. So when we look at close reading, we could get down to actually looking at sentences, a specific sentence. And we're going to go a little bit more into anaphoric relationships and connectives and how those two things can help us with comprehension. Okay, so first we'll look at our double entry journal. Okay, so this is an example of a double entry journal. Okay, that's also on your handout. You can see from the text, it gives examples like a passage, interesting language, quotation, a key event, a critical fact. Okay, the right side is their reaction, a theory or hypothesis, a comparison, an explanation. Okay, their thoughts. So from the text, from your mind. This can be done independently, or it can be done with a partner. This can be done in a written journal, okay, or it can be done using a Google Doc. And if you decide to do partners, the document can be shared between the two partners. I would recommend that when doing this, you give each student, they have an assigned colored font. On a Google Doc, you can go back and you can look at the editing history. You can see who wrote which parts at what time. That ends up being a ton of work, okay? So if you go ahead and just say, all right, Kylie, you need to do all of your notes and thoughts in blue, and Shelly, all of yours are going to be in red, okay? So that when you go look quickly, you can kind of see who's doing what if it's a collaborative effort, okay? It can also be used as a form of a dialogue between the students and the teachers. So if it's done on a Google Doc, you can comment on some thoughts that really, if they're looking for an explanation, they don't understand something, you can comment right on that Google Doc and help them explain it, okay? If they have like a really reaction that you want to acknowledge, oh, you know what, when I read that part made me feel the exact same way. You can comment back and it can become a dialogue between you on Google Docs, or if they write in their journals, I would recommend you taking the time to maybe pick 2 students a day that you're going to grab their journals and you're going to write a little something back to them. So it could be used as a dialogue journal, okay? So now with close reading, we looked at how you could do a double entry journal to help get some of that comprehension, to really understand not only what the author is saying, but why would they use that? I love that figurative language, so I'm going to write it down. And then on the other side, I'm going to try to figure out why on earth would that author say those words? Why would he choose that? Okay? We also can look at specific sentences. So anaphoric relationships, what is it? Okay? The simplest kind are pronouns. Okay, it's a great place to begin. I would love to say with all of our friends, I know y'all know, remember what pronouns are. Okay, they don't. Okay, parts of speech, we're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and we don't remember. What's an adjective? What's an adverb? What's a preposition? What's a pronoun? So it will never hurt to go back and review. Start with the base. Start with pronouns. A great example. Jim went to the library. He wanted to get some books. Who is the he the author is talking about? We need to make sure that our students understand that he is Jim. Jim went to the library. He went to go get those books. Can also be phrases, a verb phrase or an entire clause. So here's your example. Jim went to the library to get some books. The focused reader wanted to get more information about coral reefs. Okay? So now the author has decided they want to call Jim the focused reader. So who is the focused reader? Focused reader is Jim. why would the author choose to call him the focused reader? What are they trying to tell us about Jim? Okay? So, how can we teach it? That's what it is, okay? It is what is replacing the noun. So how can we teach these relationships? Okay? There's 3 different ways. We're going to focus on 2 of them more in depth, okay? The first is called thread. Thread. There's 3 levels to thread. The first one is pronouns, okay? Level 2 is dealing with the word it, because it can be very confusing for students, because it can be a pronoun, and it can also just be the word it, right? It's not replacing a noun. It is just there, okay? And the third level is replacing nouns without using pronouns, okay? So like those clauses, okay? So as you move through those levels, there's lots of discussion going on. Anaphoric Mad Libs is another way that's kind of fun that you could throw into your classroom, okay? It's like the Mad Libs that we played, except the blanks are filled with pronouns. They complete the Mad Libs twice, once using pronouns, and the second time using some kind of clever noun replacement, like the focused reader, okay, instead of he. And the third level is replace. This is just a quick whiteboard activity, okay? You write a sentence up there with the word she, and the kids get to yell out different things that they think could be there instead, like the reckless driver, the speedy lady, the messy teacher, okay? And you create a different sentence with these different replacements. It, the warm sun, the bright snow, the smelly dog. And it changes the sentence. Okay? All of these activities can be done over several days as warm-up activities, as exit tickets. They do not need to take up a lot of time. They are quick jump-in activities. Okay? Here's some examples. These are also on your handout. Okay? This is the level 1 where you would write the story on chart paper. You could have it already out on your smart board. Okay? They're going to box people. They're going to box the pronouns that replace them. Then they're going to notice, ooh, okay? The process had been hard, and it had taken them many weeks to complete. Is this an it that matters? If so, what is it replacing? Yes, it matters. It's replacing the process. So now I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to use a red marker instead of the green that replaced Damien and Maria. Okay? Level 2 is helping them understand that it sometimes doesn't. So for this one, they put a 0 above the it because it didn't matter. Okay, it was not one of the replacements to help them see. So the school auditorium, once there belongs to the school auditorium. It was 2 o'clock and it was hot in the auditorium. That is not replacing anything. That gets a little 0 above it. Okay? So again, a quick 5-minute activity. You could do it on your whiteboard. You could have it on your smart board. You would use different color markers to show what matches, which words are replacing which. Okay, so we're still dealing with sentences. So within close reading, so far for close reading, I know I'm throwing a lot at y'all because I don't want to keep you forever, but within close reading, we have the double-sided entry journal, right? And that should be the second thing on your handout. And then we have anaphoric relationships, and now we have connectives. Now those two are still dealing with close reading of sentences. Okay, so diving into the sentences. So, what are connectives? Connectives is a word or words that explicitly link one clause to another or connect two adjacent sentences. We can teach this by doing these closed activities. Y'all do them all the time. Kids have probably done them on 1,012 worksheets, right? Please don't go to the restroom during class. It is an emergency. Okay? They have a list of words to pick from. Which word would make the best sentence? Okay? There's a game, and this is what I'm going to show you in a minute, and we're going to play, called Link. Okay? It's a game that's played with partners. Now, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it where you cut the sentences in half. It's students are sitting on the floor, sitting at a table, they're matching sentences, and then they match that connective, a linking word that would go with it, okay? One way you can differentiate this is if you do want to physically make a center, make a thing where they are manipulating it and they are touching it with their hands. For your higher levels, everything is the exact same color, okay? If you need to, for your lower levels, the different parts of the sentences can be matching colors. So that at this point, they're not struggling through which sentences go together. I know these two match. I'm just trying to figure out which connective matches, okay? So you can decide, you can differentiate between those things. And then there's sentence combining. Sarah was in the band. Sarah liked playing music. How can we combine those sentences? Is there more than one way to do it? Which way sounds the best? What's the best way to combine those sentences? Okay? So we're going to look at if we were to do link. Okay? If we were to play that link game, again, you can cut, you can strip, you can have the different centers and stations going on, but you can also use Jamboard. So I don't know how familiar you are with Jamboard. I just learned about Jamboard last year, and I'm probably late to the game at a PL. I saw it. So I love it because it offers a lot of collaboration opportunities. So last year I was teaching second grade. Y'all know I'm new to middle school. And once I learned about it, we used it probably weekly in phonics because there's so many cool things you can do with Jamboards. The kids love to come up to the smart board, move stuff around, match things, cover things up. It's a lot of collaboration, a lot of talking, a lot of neat instruction that can go on. It can be done, like I said, whole group, or it can be assigned to individual students or groups. You can differentiate as needed. Same thing that you could do with your sentence strips that you physically write out. You can color code sentences. You can have them come up with as many possible ones as they can, and then say, but this one is the best. And then say, why is that one the best? And be able to present to the class or talk or write out, hey, we thought all three of these could work, but this one was the best, and here is why. Okay? So I want you to hop on your Chromebooks, and you're going to, well, let's do this first. I'm going to show you this Jamboard, and then I'm going to let you take a few minutes to kind of look over Jamboard and play with it. So this is a link. Oh, I got to do the same again. To a Jamboard that I made. Okay, so this is a Jamboard that I made for connectives. So just to kind of show you. So I did not color code my sentences because I feel like my students can handle putting the sentences together. I think it would create great conversation. So I decided not to color code my sentences. So I like beef. It is good for me. I will not eat potatoes. They are cooked. I hate to eat salad. All the gravy is removed. I don't like onions. I don't like chicken. And then my connectives, unless, but, until, even though. So we would do things like, let's just say I'm going to try this first. I don't like beef. I like beef, but I don't like chicken. I'm going to say, okay, I think I like that sentence. Okay? I will not eat potatoes unless they are cooked. I'm going to try that one. I hate to eat salad even though it is good for me. I don't like onions until, and then I would go, until all the gravy is removed. Oh, that doesn't work, right? Okay, so, gravy's going to go here. Okay, I will not eat potatoes unless all the gravy is removed. I don't like onions until they are cooked. Okay, and then they get to talk. Could we move any of these? Could I switch these two? I will not eat potatoes until all the gravy is removed. I don't like onions unless they are cooked. And then they get to have a conversation. Which of those is the best? Both of them work, right? But is one better than the other? And why is one better than the other? And they can play with that. Again, so you can have as many of these options as you want. So to find Jamboards, it is going to be on. So you'll go to your dots for Google, and if you just scroll down, you will see Jamboard. It's just right there. Okay? So there's all kinds of this was a Jamboard that we did where the kids had to guess. They had to match. They were playing who said what. And so these are sticky notes that just cover. They cover up. So you have sticky notes. You can move sticky notes. Let's see. So very sensitive. This is one I did with second grade. Again, I'm going to let y'all play with this. Okay? They loved it because they could come up and they just got to move. Oh, that's a 2D shape. That's a 3D shape. That's a 3D shape. That's a 2D shape. Okay? And they can move them. They can talk about them. Okay? So, I'm going to give you a few minutes, and I can help you if you need help, or you can just kind of see the different kinds of Jamboards that you can make, the different ways, and it just moves with your smartboard. Okay? The possibilities are endless. You can add text boxes. Okay? So you can add a text. You can add pictures. Okay? There's just so many different things that you can do on these Jamboards. So go ahead on your Chromebooks. I want you to go ahead and look for, I may have to recalibrate this thing. While you guys are playing with your Jamboard, I might do that real fast. So just log in. Like I said, it's right there on your Google. If you don't see it on the top, mine doesn't show up on my top. Just keep scrolling down. There's different backgrounds you can pick. And then it's just all right there for you. Okay? So when you get there, you can choose to set a background. Okay? You can be working on something that you're going to need grids for, or maybe we're going to do some shapes. Okay? You can have clear frames, backgrounds. Again, I love the sticky notes. I love, love, love the sticky notes because they get moved around. You can stretch them out. They can cover things up. The kids then, they can just delete them too, when you're done. So you can choose to move them, cover them, and then you just share them. So this is a Jamboard. Okay? And again, just like if you were to make this individually, you can color code to differentiate if you need to. Okay? I'm going to get our back up while you guys are still doing a few more little things with that. Get my slides back up. Okay, so we've covered the QAR strategies. We have covered close reading by using double entry journals, looking at close reading of sentence comprehension with anaphoric relationships and connectives. And now we're going to talk about how to use conversations to aid in comprehension. Okay? This might be one of my favorites because there's just so much value in the kids getting to talk to one another and hear from one another and talk to you and hear from you. So many different ways that this can be accomplished. I'm just going to throw up a couple ideas. Some of these you may have heard of. Some of them you may not have. We have instructional conversations, sometimes called ICs. If you've been in Habersham County long enough, you have been trained in instructional conversations, which means neither one of you have. But that's okay because it's a wonderful, wonderful program to help you understand how to be a facilitator at that moment, not necessarily a teacher. How to lead them down a path, but then how to let them have some productive struggle as they're trying to weave through some of the concepts that they're dealing with. So instructional conversations, text talks, book clubs, Socratic seminars, turn and talk. This is the easiest one you can do. At any point, you could be reading a chapter out of one of your novels and they say something with great imagery or they say something with really confusing vocabulary. Pause and say, okay, I want you to turn and talk to the person to your left. What do you think they mean by, and then read that sentence again. Okay? Or pause, turn and talk to the person beside you. Why do you think the author chose to use that language? Why did they call it the focused reader or whatever it is that you want them to think about? Okay? Give them a second or two. You could have a callback. You could say, okay, that's enough. You can clap 2 times. They turn around and you get back to your story. Okay? Sometimes that's all it is. You don't even have to go anymore. You could say, okay, let's hear 3 ideas on why the author did that. And then you can give your take. Okay? Or it could literally just be, let them hear some thoughts from one another, and we're going to move on. Okay? And then, of course, literature circles. Okay? So we're going to go into some technology options for conversations, because conversations happen every day in our classrooms. Okay? But you want to be intentional with your conversations. So when we go back and we look at this, okay, when we look at these 6 options, as the teacher, you have to know, what is my purpose, okay? Why am I having them talk today? What is it that I want them to do? And when you think through those things, it's going to help you decide, which of these things do I want to use today? How do I want to get the conversation accomplished? Because I don't want the conversation to be about the drama on the bus this morning or the new eyelash mascara. Okay, I want these conversations to be meaningful and purposeful. And so I have to think about why they're having these conversations. And that's going to help me know, is it just a turn and talk today? Okay, is it a book club? Is it an instructional conversation that they're going to have at my table or with me, or I'm going to go listen to them kind of work through the imagery that's in this poem, okay? What is it that I want to get accomplished? And that's going to help me know which of these I want to do. So again, all of these can be done without technology, right? But I'm going to show you 2 different ways of incorporating technology that the kids love, okay? The first one is called Flip. It used to be called Flipgrid. Okay? One thing that's great is we use Clever. Okay? Flip is easily linked to Clever. So if you have a teacher page that the kids know, when I go to my 4th academic, I'm going to get on Ms. Bosley's teacher page. You can easily add Flip to that teacher page. So they have it right there for them to do. It's easily linked to Clever. Super user-friendly. I used it all the time in elementary school, okay? From 2nd grade to 5th grade were the grades I had where I did Flipgrid, and they could all do them, and they could all do them well, okay? And then collaboration. It allows students to share thoughts and ideas and have other students respond in video form, okay? So, Flip is a little harder to do. Here's my caveat for Flip. It's harder to do in a classroom. So when I did Flip in elementary school, they would take their computer and they would go 1 or 2 at a time, depending on where you are. At my end of the dungeon, I could probably only have 2 kids. You guys are on a hallway. You could probably have 6 kids out in the hall, spread out with their Chromebooks, responding to a Flip and not bothering each other. Okay, and not in your way, and still where you can see them. And then you could have a couple kids spread out in your room. It's a little harder because it is a video response. So it's not something that you could do in close proximity and have where you feel like everybody's getting what they need. So for Flip, I'm going to show you a bunch, but I'm going to see if you might try a Flip maybe from your home, okay, to kind of play with it. Or tomorrow during your planning, so that it's we're not all doing a flip at the same time in this little room, okay? But I am going to show you what you'll do. Ooh. So, I'm going to give you a sneak peek on what's coming. So, let's get to flip. Well, flip did not want to link. So I'll have to work on that. So, I think I have it. I think it's under my West Georgia one, sorry. Username? No, okay. Sorry, y'all. Eat some of that food, please. Eat some chocolate. It will make me feel better. Okay. I know where it is linked for sure. And we're just going to jump on here and link it from here. Okay. So, when you get home tonight or tomorrow, okay, when you get home, this is what it is going to look like. You're going to see a thing up there that says comprehension PL. Oh, sorry. On my school one, which requires authentication now. Oh, technology. Okay, so this is what you will do. You will get this. I will share this page with you. You will go to introductions, okay? And we're going to watch this quick little flip. So this is what flip is.
Hey, welcome to the flip portion of your PL. So as I have explained already, flip is a great tool, a great technology tool that you can use if you want to include some conversations about what students are reading in your classroom. Again, it links very easily with Clever. It is super user-friendly. It is something that even when I taught second grade, once the second graders were trained on it, they could post, reply, add graphics, do it all very, very easily. And it's just a great way for your students to have the opportunity to hear what another person might be thinking about a book, to talk about things that are confusing to them, vocabulary they don't understand, some of their annotated notes that they wrote down. You can use it for book clubs, for literature circles, to reply to passages, all of those different ways. If you just want to get kids talking and you want to incorporate some technology, Flip is a great way to do it. So we're going to take a few minutes to play with it. You'll see that one of the things I'm doing on mine really quickly is I'm changing my backdrop. So you'll have time to kind of play with the backdrops. You'll see that some of the backdrops will just stay like a green screen. Some of them are ones that actually have motion. So it's kind of like a little video behind. These are all rules that you can put in place. You can say, I don't want a backdrop, or you can choose a backdrop. You've got 2 minutes to pick your backdrop, and then it's time to start your video, or different things that you might need to do. And then we're going to practice watching each other's and replying to one another's flips so that you can see how it works to reply and post that flip. Okay, so let's get going. Hey, welcome to the flip.
Okay, so that is what you will do when you get home tonight or like tomorrow. Like I said, this it's harder to do when we're all in one room. Here you can quickly just add a comment and it'll pop right up on my video. Or you could reply by recording a video. So you can reply to a video with a video. I would love for you to practice later hitting this record button here. You can play with the background if you want. You can do all of that. If you hit this record button, you'll see it's going to pop up. Okay? Oh, my camera doesn't work because this is the old desktop. The camera would come up and you could choose your backdrop and all of that. So I'm just going to show you really quickly if I can. These are some that we did like over COVID. So if they got to have, you'll notice that they could play with stickers. Okay. They did their.
Okay. Number 1, I am more than 40. That is 71. 7 plus 1 equals 8, which 8 is my sum digit. And my ones digit is.
Okay, so he's answering a math riddle, and then you can see other kids. You can see how many people viewed it. Other kids were able to comment on it. I could go back and comment on it if I wanted to. Okay, so, and it just pops up where the kids can kind of see what they're doing. It's very, very easy, very user-friendly. So I'm excited for y'all to play with this later today. You know what, we're just going to stick with this since this is the one that seemed to be working for us. Just pop to the Google slide. Okay, then the last conversation. I know, I promised y'all, I'm almost done. The last conversational technology, this one I love, and I did not know anything about this until I started grad school. So I learned about it last summer. It is Padlet. Okay, Padlet I love because there are so many different response options. This is one that you could do in your classroom, and it could be dead silent if you want it silent, and they're all still responding to one another's thoughts and comments on text with Padlet. Okay, or they can do a video. They can do an audio. They can add a picture. They can upload a Google Doc. Okay, there's so many options with Padlet, so I love it. Again, it is very user-friendly, and it allows tons of collaboration. So, Padlet. I made a Padlet for us to play with, and again, I know that you are going to have to go here in a second, so you can also play with this tonight or tomorrow. You can come see me during your planning if you don't understand how to do it, and I'll be happy to help you with it. We're going to watch just a quick little video on Padlet. It's going to talk you through some of the different parts of Padlet.
Hey everyone, this is Padlet. Padlet is another great way to let your students have conversations about the books and the texts and the passages that they are reading. One thing that makes Padlet really cool, we've kind of already talked about it, but just a quick review, is it has so many options. So you'll see here on the Padlet that I did a little written response. People can reply to written responses. You can do a video, and people can reply to your videos. You can do an audio where they don't see you, they just hear you. You can take pictures, you can upload documents. There's lots and lots of options for Padlet. So to me, in my opinion, Padlet is something that would work really well upper elementary and beyond. 4th, 5th grade and beyond, I think we'd be able to use Padlet pretty easily. It's very user-friendly.
Okay, so for Padlet, the question, our Padlet that we're going to share is, what is your favorite book? Tell us about your favorite book. Be sure to comment on each other's posts. You can do an audio, video, or written response. So I did one. It was my own question, and I couldn't pick a favorite book. So I decided to tell my favorite genre. So I said my favorite genre is mystery thriller books, followed closely by historical fiction. So I asked, so if you're like me, what's your favorite genre? So then you can, there's just a plus button. It's very simple. And you can just start typing something out, okay? Answering a response. You can hit this little button here, and this is where you choose all of the things like, oh, I want to do a video record. No, I want to do an audio recording. Oh, I want to do an image search. My favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm going to go find that book cover, okay? I'm going to go find this YouTube video. There was this TED Talk that I really want them to see. So I'm going to upload that TED Talk. Kids are going to watch it, and then they're going to comment. Okay? So there's so many things that you can do on Padlet. The one thing, you do not have to have an account for Padlet. Okay? If you do not have an account, though, it's going to come up as anonymous. So the one thing that you need to do is you need to make sure your subject, tell your students that's your name. Your subject is always your name, okay? So Stacey's favorite book. So they know who's writing it, because if you do not have a Padlet account, it's not going to come up, okay? There won't be a way to tell who it is. But like I said, I love Padlet. I really want you to play with this because I feel like I love Flip. And the kids love Flip because they feel like they're making like a YouTube video. So my 5th graders would always be like, hey, it's Alex coming to you from the hallway. And then answer whatever the question was because they wanted to turn it into their own little YouTube channel. But the flexibility that comes with Padlet, for them to be able to respond to one another, to upload different things, to do it quietly if you need to do it, in your classroom because you happen to have a group that you can't send out in the hall to record a flip because they will disappear on you, then Padlet is your choice. So here. So overall, y'all don't need my references. I hope that this was helpful for you to get back and figure out some of the things that you might be able to do as a teacher, some strategies that you can implement in your classroom to help improve reading comprehension. So again, I shared this with you. All of those links are there to the Padlets, to the Jamboard, to the MindMeister, to the Flipgrid. I'm happy to work with you and help you work through some of those and help set those up for you if you decide that you want to try some of those in your classroom. That handout gets to go with you. It is just a quick overview of everything that we talked about today. Please take some of that chocolate and mints and water with you. And I appreciate so much you guys staying after school and bearing with me and doing this with me. I hope that there was something new that you haven't seen before that you could possibly implement with your students to help improve their comprehension, because we know ultimately we want them, that's the goal of reading. We want them to be able to understand what they're reading. And so we want to try to aid them in that in a way that's unique and fun and really meaningful.